I'm a bit sick, so please excuse my voice, but you really thought we were done with Suicide Squad? Hell nah. Hello, and welcome back, everybody. Because we're going back to the OG series. Well, I mean, the channel's not even a year old, so. But OG enough. Today, I'm going to be checking out 10 terrifying details in Batman Arkham Shadow. This game, of course, has got an amazing review so far, and with my playthrough, I absolutely agree, but I'm also going to try and keep the spoilers away for the most part within this video, but again, these are Easter eggs, and so some of them may have to do with big plot points within Shadow. So be warned, especially the last one. But if you really don't want any spoilers for Shadow, you may as well put the video on mute, your phone down, and give me some views. Nah, I'm just kidding. But anyways, please be warned. But other than that, let's just get right back into the first detail. Now, we finally get to see the main man himself, the ventriloquist, within Blackgate Prison. Now, I'm so hyped we finally got to see his character, or even both characters in Shadow, because it's been long overdue, besides some of these Easter eggs in the other Arkham games. But what makes this terrifying? Well, it's the conversation we hear him have with his cellmate when you first start playing the game and see him. Arno Lesker begins to talk about the origin of his actual puppet, Scarface, and how he came to be. Now, Scarface doesn't come from any bit of regular wood, but would derive from the former Blackgate gallows. So yeah, a bit creepy indeed. But it's really cool to actually hear more about the history of Blackgate in Arkham media because, of course, it's in the name. But, of course, much more about Arkham Asylum than Blackgate will we hear. But Blackgate is really cool, and at times can be extremely spooky. But overall, I'm just hyped to see the ventriloquist in the flesh, or video game flesh, because he's definitely one of my favorite characters in DC. But anyways, cool, creepy detail, but let's go ahead and move on. Now, how many times across my channel I've spoken about the Court of Owls, and why they actually are extremely scary, and already have a large presence within the Arkham universe. But what if I told you that there's a similar organization created by an immortal Satanist who leads a cult organization that places bets on lives, performs human sacrifices, and much more evil things? Well, here's the black glove for you. So this one actually comes from the trailer where you can barely see a poster with the black glove on it. Now, I don't want to spoil anything about the game with the black glove, but obviously there's probably not going to be that much. But anyways, in DC, the black glove is quite notorious and an overall nuisance within Gotham. Now, of course, created by Dr. Hurt. Really, guys, we couldn't really get more creative, but anyways. All jokes aside, I'm so glad Camouflage is adding in these awesome details that really are huge callbacks to great moments in DC, characters, or other just really cool details. And this one, if played out well in the Arkhamverse, could be terrifying if we ever get to really see them. Anyways, let's just go ahead and move on. Now, I do talk about him a lot seemingly on this channel, but he's back. And of course, I'm talking about James Gordon Jr. Now, this is a very small detail, but a really cool look at who he actually was, or at least at the time of Shadows, when it took place. Here in the pigsty, the room Gordon takes us into at the beginning of the game, we can find this Gordon family photo with none other than the big boy himself, James Gordon Jr. But if you don't know who Gordon Jr. is, well, he's a psychopath serial killer, not much else to say, besides him being Gordon's son. In the comics, he's been a really cool character, of course, that brings into DC that more scary street-level feeling, with him going on rampages and killing sprees. But of course, Gordon Jr.'s backstory is also quite cool, with him feeling practically no emotion whatsoever, hence his murderous tendencies. And to finally see him in the Arkhamverse, besides of course these posters and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, is awesome. And I really do hope that they expand more on him in the Arkham games, because he's just a really cool character. But I've spoken a lot about him, so let's just go ahead and move on. Now, shout out to K-Nerd for this one. But throughout the game, it appears that there's somebody stalking Bruce throughout Arkham Shadow. But unlike City and Night, it doesn't appear to be Azrael. Now, in K-Nerd's video, he explains that there are multiple pieces of evidence, but much of it, of course, contradicts himself. For example, we can barely see whoever it is right here once you arrive into Blackgate for the first time, as well as K-Nerd pointing out that here, you can strangely see a door just open and close, but nobody seems to be there. And Batman just couldn't have triggered it due to him being on the literal opposite side of the room. So who could it be? Playing the game, it's pretty obviously just Batman fear talk some form, but if it's not, let's have some fun. Well, K-Nerd brought up Batmite, which sounds dumb, but some of the evidence does kind of indeed point that it's him, but this is definitely not Batmite. As well as Batmite being a character that would absolutely not work in the Arkhamverse at all, but I don't know, maybe they could sneak him in there. But anyways, all you gotta know is that there's an adult dressed up as a giant bat, stalking another adult dressed up as a bat. Cool. How could it be a terrifying details video without Scarecrow? Well, I guess for Shadow, it's Dr. Crane. But anyways, throughout the game, of course, Crane plays quite a large role, but of course, not for some happy-go-lucky reason, like usual. But the main thing Crane is involved with in Shadow is him kidnapping prisoners and taking them in as patients, or hostages, to perform his tests on. Now, of course, we all know what Scarecrow's actually involved in. Well, it's kind of in his name. Scarecrow takes prisoners and tests his early forms of fear toxin on them, which we can see with Batman's hallucinations near the end of the game, as well as seeing Arnold Wesker, the ventriloquist, in Crane's testing room. Now imagine already being forced to stay in Blackgate, a place where you have a 50-50 shot at getting out alive, if you do ever get out at all, if you don't have a life sentence, but also being terrified of potentially being taken away or kidnapped by one of Batman's future biggest villains to be performed tests on, which are all directed to make you experience your worst fears. Yeah, no thank you. But anyways, I loved Crane and Quinzel's dynamic throughout the game. Actually seeing a kinder and more thoughtful version of Harley Quinn. I really enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think, but I think it was really good. But it's just kind of weird to think that this girl also did all this. But anyways, let's move on. Now, when playing the Arkham games, we sometimes see this big boy. Yeah, pretty creepy. But every time we do, it's always him beating the shit out of another person. Well, not this time. Because this time we get to fight him. So yeah, near the end of the game, when we go and look for Dr. Crane, he of course drugs us up, and now we are fighting for our life in Batman's nightmares. Awesome. Anyways, this whole sequence was pretty cool to play and fight through. These terrifying bats were really cool, and the fact that we saw Nightmare Batman just eating dudes before we fight him was pretty cool yet scary. But overall, I really did enjoy this whole sequence of dreams because it actually puts us into these terrifying moments that we've seen all throughout the Arkham games. Like Scarecrow's boss fights in Asylum, which I loved, and now we get to play through a similar thing in Shadow, in first person, which is really awesome. Also, as well as going through these time warp zones, really remind me of past Arkham moments, and these times where we got to really see what Batman is going on inside his mind is really cool and, of course, pretty scary, and to just know what he has to think about. And, of course, we get another Martha and Thomas Wayne death. Oh my god, we've seen this so much throughout the Arkham games. They are cool, but I mean, practically in every single Arkham game we've seen them. So the man, the myth, the legend has indeed escaped his cell in solitary, I presume. So of course in the main story, Matches ends up in solitary confinement, and guess who's right beside him in another cell? The Joker himself. And so over the next few days, we can talk to him about various things. But more notable is him talking to Batman about how he's going to escape his confinements in solitary. And he does that very thing after we leave and come back a day later in the main story, where we can find the Joker's cell opened up. Now, he may have been let out, but I mean, I really doubt that. I mean, they wouldn't put him in regular cells alongside Matches and the others. He's far too dangerous and sporadic. And so I do presume he did escape. Which, if you know anything about the Joker, he's probably killing, kidnapping, or blowing something up right after he was able to get out. Or, of course, planning for his escapades in City. I mean, to have this serial killing villain now roaming the streets once again, who was able to escape a place like Blackgate with Bolton in charge? Yup, Gotham's cooked. Or should I say Arkham City? Actually, be more Asylum, but whatever. Now, this one, I didn't even want to mention in the video because of how terrifying it actually is. But then again, it's called 10 Terrifying Details, and so here it is. The beast who we got to see in Arkham Asylum, who betrayed the GCPD and his city. Yes, of course I'm talking about Frank Balls. Yeah, no kidding. So playing Shadow, you come across this guard various times throughout the game. And if you didn't play with subtitles on, you would have missed this. But he actually is Frank Boyles, or Frank Balls from Arkham Asylum.
Officer Bowles.
This one I did get from a phone from his video, and so I just thought it was a pretty funny detail. As well as this video just being a pain in the ass or finding scary details. But anyways, I do say this time and time again, but Rocksteady and of course, this time Camouflage, just get the Arkham games. Adding in these small details, but details that true Arkham fans can look at and just be genuinely excited for. Like just to see a character who's a big meme in the Arkham community actually get a decently big role in another Arkham game, of course being Shadow, made by different devs. But anyways, enough yapping about Officer Balls. Let's just move on to the final detail. Now, to me, the Arkham games are able to make scenes that are terrifying because of the physical fear factor they bring. Let me explain. Things like Titan Joker, Killer Croc and his various missions in the sewers, and things like Man-Bat or his jump scares, those are all scary and terrifying. But the scariest to me that the Arkham games thrive in are the emotional fear factors. Like, of course, for example, seeing Bruce's parents dead, and the city in shadow, and the creation of the Bat. But the most noticeable in Shadow were actually Harvey Dent's transformation into Two-Face. Now, big spoiler here, but of course, at the end of the game, we confront Harvey before he kills Joe Chill. Of course, the murder of Martha and Thomas Wayne. And we see Joe throughout the entire game, and I don't know, for some reason, I didn't put two and two together. I didn't know it was actually Joe Chill. But before he can actually finish him off and kill him, and finish the job, he sees Batman take off his mask and reveal himself to be Bruce Wayne, the man that Harvey did all this for, to get revenge for his closest ally and who he calls a brother throughout the game. This drives Harvey to the point of trying to kill himself and jump off the building. All his new emotions, his new second identity, and the reveal of Bruce Wayne was all too much for Harvey to handle. Now, of course, Bruce saves Harvey by diving after him, like classic Batman fashion, but we do get to see Harvey once more back at Blackgate's medical room before the game ends. This scene shows the horror of Harvey realizing he's extremely sick in the head, and how he just wants it all to be normal again. He literally asks Leslie if there's a cure, and when he realizes there's not, we get to see his other side take over and flip the coin. But that's it for today's video. I do say this a lot, but I will try and get back onto a better schedule for uploading. I've just been very busy with a lot in life, and of course I'm sick now. But hopefully you did enjoy this video. I actually really enjoyed getting back in this series. But I would of course love to continue it. And so Rocksteady, just keep making Arkham games. But other than that, thank you for watching. Please do let me know down below if there was anything I've missed, and if you guys have any ideas for future videos. But other than that, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.